10 times out of 10 I'm right. With this pen I write the thoughts of a genius, verified that I'm nice. My quotables are quotable, just ask me the price. Legend in 2 games, Steve Stout on the mic. I stand on my square, whatever circle I'm in. Circle the block before I step in the spot in this world of sin. Ain't here to be a victim, a villain. I'm here for business, sipping light beer like Mance Warner and pure denim.
Shook got them spinning they boots. It get crazy when I get in the mood. Don't talk to me, dog, until you finish your food. Hope your image approved. Never been in it to lose. Before we finish them, we hit them with the signature move.
Before we finish them, we hit them with the signature move. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate y'all for tuning in. This is the Signature Move, episode number 8 with A.O. Baker. My name is A.O. You're tuned in right here on the Ringside Club YouTube channel, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all other podcast platforms. Like I mentioned, my name is A.O. You can catch me everywhere at I am A.O. Baker. Peace to the homie Heartbreak Julio, who's my co-pilot on that song, Signature Move. Available everywhere, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, everywhere you get your music from. It's on that No Flows Bar project, but he's going to be a guest on the Signature Move next week. And of course, later on this week on Thursday, you can catch the fellas live somewhere between the hours of 9 and 10, the Ringside Club. This week, the fellas are going to be breaking down the Elimination Chamber, doing a little prediction show. This week, this episode, Signature Move, from High Stakes at Revolution Pro Wrestling to AEW Revolution, and that, of course, is in reference to Will Ospreay. He had his last independent booking this past weekend at Rev Pro, High Stakes. It's a great show, top to bottom. I caught up over the weekend. I haven't really been tapped into Rev Pro as much as I want. I've watched here and there, usually if there's a big match. And you think as big of a Zack Sabre Jr. guy as I am, that I'd be watching regularly. But, you know, after this show, you take some of these big names and put them to the side. Some of the people that are coming in just for that date, they have a good roster. You know, they definitely have a good roster. So I'm going to try to add Rev Pro to my regular rotation. Of course, New Japan is right in the middle of Fantastica Mania right now. They have a couple of big shows coming up. Speaking of guys finishing up, Okada's finishing up with New Japan. He has 2 more dates left, and I believe this is next week. I could be wrong. I don't have the dates in front of me, but Fantastica Mania is going on right now with CMLL. AEW is right around the corner with Revolution. So, yeah, before we get into the couple of things that I wanted to break down, some of my highlights and my notes, just some news and notes in general from this show. This, again, was High Stakes by Revolution Pro Wrestling, which is owned by Andy Quilden. He was on commentary along with Gideon Gray. I was entertained by the 2 of them. This took place at the Crystal Palace in London, England. So, yeah, check it out. I caught it on RevProOnDemand.com. I believe their next big show is the Revolution Rumble, which is at the end of March. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to be watching. Orange Cassidy made an appearance. He was defending his the AEW International Championship in a 7-way scramble match. Check that out. Dani Luna, who's one of my signature movers, she defended her British Women's Championship against Sapphire Reed. Luke Jacobs and J.J. Gale in a hell of a match that went about 17 minutes. That was a great match. Mustafa Ali, he's one of my signature movers. He defeated Robbie X. We'll talk about that match a bit. Wasn't familiar with Robbie X, so definitely was impressed. Trent Seven took on Shingo Takagi. Anthony Ogogo was there. He was against Ricky Knight Jr. Zack Sabre Jr. against Connor Mills. And, of course, Michael Oku defending that British Heavyweight Championship against Will Ospreay. 47 minutes, but worth every second. First and foremost, we're going to start with Mustafa Ali versus Robbie X. The story of this match was Ali was already booked for Rev Pro, and he asked Rev Pro who can keep up with him. And they answered with Robbie X, who is the king of the cruiserweights, which I didn't know. Mustafa Ali, this is the first time that I've seen him since he's been out of WWE. And he's huge now. Like, he's put on a lot of muscle. His arms are bigger, his neck is bigger, his shoulders are bigger. But he doesn't seem like he's lost a step. You know, he definitely still has that spring, still has that explosiveness. I think he has a match at House of Glory coming up in March as well. So let's take a look at this clip. Mustafa Ali versus Robbie X. Check this out. Robbie X goes to the top rope. Mustafa Ali yanks some ankles first. Look at that bump, man. They were bumping all over the place. Now look at the agility. Up to the second rope. Tornado DDT. Hell of a sell job right there by Robbie X. Once again, it doesn't seem like Mustafa Ali has lost a step. He's just as agile as you might remember him. But that was really a good match. Next up, we have Luke Jacobs versus J.J. Gale. First time I've seen either of these guys. Luke Jacobs pretty much on a mission. He wants to be the crown jewel. He wants to be the Rev Pro British Undisputed Champ. He faced Tomohiro Ishii last year, at the end of last year in December at Rev Pro Uprising. He's vowed to beat him. I think that was the second time he lost to Ishii. But in the meantime, he's taking on J.J. Gale here. These two beat the hell out of each other, heavy-handed as hell. What you're seeing right now was the closing sequence of this match. This is like a Steiner screwdriver. Bang! Right there. Drops J.J. Gale on his head. You can count to 100. Drapes his knee right there over J.J. Gale. And that's pretty much the match right there. Standing ovation from the crowd right there at the Crystal Palace, right there in London. And then afterwards, he said, look, I'm going as part of the Revolution Rumble. The interesting thing about the Revolution Rumble, we're speaking about Michael Oku. Last year, he won the Revolution Rumble, and he was able to pick whoever he wanted to fight at Epic Encounter. He picked Great O'Khan, who was the current champ, or who was the champ at the time, rather, and he beat him for that British Heavyweight Championship. So that's the path that Luke Jacobs sees for himself, and he impressed me. He again, standing ovation from that crowd. That was a heavy-hitting match. Make sure you watch that. We had Zack Sabre Jr., my guy, versus Connor Mills. Connor Mills is a former tag team partner of Michael Oku. I hadn't seen a Connor Mills match prior, and the thing that impressed me is he hung with Sabre pretty much move for move, counter for counter for the entirety of the match. Obviously, Sabre finally finished him off, but this is my favorite match of the night. As good as Will Ospreay versus Michael Oku was, this was my match for the night. So I got a couple of clips here. It got real testy. These guys were... It might have been a situation of Zach getting a little frustrated. You see him right there. He slaps Connor Mills. And now you get a little bit of a sly grin from Connor. He's like, okay, say less. So let's reset. Let's circle around. It got tested. These guys were slapping one another. Here they grapple. They lock up, and Connor moves. Now, I'd never seen this before. He puts Zack Sabre Jr. on the top rope and hit him with a dragon screw leg whip off of the top rope and jammed his knee while he brought him back down. Now he's, just real nasty, kicking Zach in the leg, smacks him in the leg. So that was his target for a little bit of the match, which if you remember from New Japan, from New Beginning, that's also what Bryan Danielson targeted. There was a little bit of snarkiness from Connor Mills there. You saw some of the trademark Blackpool Combat Club moves. So let's continue going with some of these clips here. Here's another one. These guys are going. By this time, Zack Sabre Jr.'s leg is hanging on. Little knee jam there from Connor Mills. Little chop. Now what he's going to do, he's going to scoop Zack Sabre up and put him in the tree of woe. Now this is another thing that I have never seen before. He puts Zack Sabre in the tree of woe. And like I mentioned, this is super testy, right? So he's hitting him a couple of times in the knee. Then he kicks him in the thigh. Now he's just going to rest the bottom of his foot right there in Zach's face. He waves to the crowd. Referee's trying to get him for a clean break. Now he goes over the top rope. He attempts a drop kick, and Zach catches Connor's right ankle for an ankle lock. Still locked in the tree of woe. He finally frees himself from the turnbuckle, puts him in an ankle lock. Now Connor, reversal. Here's another ankle lock. This time Connor has the lock right there on Sabre. Another reversal. Sabre locks the ankle lock in one more time. Bang! Kick right there to the gut of Connor Mills. Boy, when I tell you, this was testy. These guys were going back and forth, and it got real aggressive. But that was probably my favorite match of the night. If anybody hasn't seen, this show, go out of your way to watch it. Now, we spoke about Ali and Robbie X, spoke about Luke Jacobs and J.J. Gale, spoke about Sabre versus Mills. The main event was Michael Oku defending the British Heavyweight Championship against Will Ospreay. They fought twice. I've seen one of the matches. I saw the most recent match. This was their third one-on-one match. And the story here is Oku wants respect from Ospreay. Ospreay lets everybody know that this is his last match in the British Indies. He's wrestling for AEW exclusively now. He's not going to be back pretty much until All In when they go to Wembley. and he wants to leave the British wrestling scene in a bit of a better place, in good hands. And he doesn't think that Michael Oku is the guy, even though that he's the champ, even though he's the British heavyweight champ. He doesn't really respect him. Now, they had one hell of a match on a lot of people's best match of the year a couple of years ago in 2022 at High Stakes. So the story leading into that, we spoke about Connor Mills with his match against Sabre. Connor and Michael Oku, best friends, tag team partners, and leading up to that match at the end of 2021, Ospreay has a match with Connor Mills, beats the absolute hell out of him. And at the end of that match, he says, look, I bought 3 tickets, right? I bought 3 tickets for Michael Oku to bring his mom, to bring his brother, and to bring his girlfriend, Amira, who accompanied Oku to the match, and also to this weekend's match, just so I can see the look on their faces when I cave Michael's head in, right? I mean, it was that level of disrespect, that level of violence, that level of aggression. And if anybody's seen that match, I saw it. He hit him with, I don't know, a half a dozen or a dozen, somewhere between 6 and 12, like hidden blades. And the story there is he pretty much, they had to stop. The match needed to be stopped. Michael Oku's, health was at jeopardy. Ospreay won the match. And Amira leading up to this match, they had a face-off, which is really well done. It's about a 20-minute video on the Rev Pro YouTube channel where they had a face-off right in the middle of the ring, telling each other how they felt about one another. And Amira was there by Michael's side, by Oku's side, and said, look, man, you guys don't have any idea what we had to do to get Mike. He doesn't even remember the match. We had a hell of a time getting him back to where he was able to even compete. And now he's here. I believe in him. I'm going to be there by his side. Each of these guys were able to pick a stipulation. Oku wanted no ref stoppages. He didn't want anybody to have the power to stop this match. If you're going to beat me, Will, I want you to beat me by pinfall or submission, not because the ref thinks that I'm in jeopardy. Ospreay wanted, if he won that, first of all, he mentioned if he won that British Heavyweight Championship, he didn't want to take the title away from Rev Pro. He just wanted to take it away from Michael Oku. So he was going to relinquish the title, hand it to Andy Quildan to be put up for the winner of the Revolution Rumble, again taking place at the end of March. He also said if the match was going to end and somebody needed to throw in the towel, he wanted it specifically to be Amira. He wanted it to be Michael Oku's girlfriend. Again, more disrespect, bad vibes between these two. So the stage was set. This was the main event. Michael Oku finally got his win. He actually made Will Ospreay tap out, right? They finally shake hands. They finally have a mutual respect for one another. And Michael Oku graciously and respectfully gives the ring to Will Ospreay because, again, this is his last match. So Will's in the middle of the ring. He's, thanking everybody. He's thanking Rev Pro. He's been at Rev Pro 11 years, longer than he's been a part of New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's been in New Japan for 8 years. And he always made it a point. He said since 2016, he's had guaranteed money. But he did not want to just leave Rev Pro behind. He came here, didn't have to do it. The money's in the bank. But he came here because he loved it. Tony Khan was in the building. He was standing in the commentary position near Andy Quildan. So he thanked Tony for changing his life as far as the new money that he's able to make. He thanked Andy Quildan for providing that platform here at Rev Pro. And then he went around, slaps high fives with a bunch of fans. But this here I thought was really cool. You're seeing him, this is after he's walked around, he's taking pictures with the fans. You see this fan right here has that infamous all-in attendance. He says, the 81,000 or whatever was the attendance at the Crystal Palace in London. I thought that was pretty funny. But Will Ospreay's walking to the back. He's still high-fiving fans. And out comes Zack Sabre Jr. If there were two people that are responsible for putting British wrestling on their backs and taking it with them everywhere that they go, these are two guys that have made their name in, obviously in New Japan. Zack Sabre Jr. comes out, I'll throw this on once again, to greet Will Ospreay. Give him a little bit of a hug. I thought that was a really cool moment. The two of them have had some classic matches back and forth. Sabre's obviously in place to be one of the guys, probably the top foreign wrestler at this point in New Japan. And Will Ospreay's off to greener pastures, bigger checks, over there in AEW. So I thought this was a really, really cool moment, to be embraced by, a guy 5 or 6 years his senior. They battled, they came up together. A lot of respect, a lot of love right there. So yeah, great show. And then we're going to show some clips. This was the face-off at the beginning of the match, Will Ospreay versus Michael Oku. And this was how the match ended. He tapped Will Ospreay out with that half crab. Again, RevProOnDemand.com. If you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out. And this is the match, March 3rd, AEW Revolution, Will Ospreay versus Konosuke Takeshita. Both of these guys are members, technically, of the Don Callis family. We'll see if that remains the case at the end of this match. But yeah, everybody out there, man, make sure you check that out. There was a lot of action and a lot of talent on this card. So that's it. Quick episode this week. This is episode number 8 of the Signature Move. Once again, next week we have Heartbreak Julio. I think True Guy's coming up a couple of episodes after that. Make sure you tap in with the fellas this Thursday. They're doing that Elimination Chamber preview and prediction show. My name is A.O. Catch me everywhere at I am A.O. Baker. Make sure you follow the Signature Move feed, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Hit the ringsideclub.com. Man, we out of here, man. Peace.